Hi, I'm Rick Walls, and this is my interpersonal communication project for Liberty University Online's Hsco 508 course. So who am I? Well, I'm a master's student at Liberty University Online in the Family Advocacy, Public Policy, and the Future program. I hold a bachelor's degree in sports management from FSU. I was a big-time theater and drama student in high school, and as a retail manager for the past 10 years, I have a lot of varied experience. I'm a husband to one beautiful wife and 3 wonderful children. But what I'm really proud about is what we've been doing over the past year, almost year. We've been a foster family, and in that time, we have 3 biological children of our own. We have 5 foster children that are long-term placements in our house currently. But we've also seen 13 different kids come through our home in just that short amount of time. And what I want to do from an overarching goal perspective is to really shine a light on foster care and at-risk families and adoption. I think it's something the church needs to hear. As James 1:27 says, religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. I think that's something that God wants us to be able to do, and foster care is a great opportunity in that. And the key to that is really activating the church. As a church, it's made up of many parts, just like a body. And these kids that are in foster care, these families, they come from a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different cultures. And as a church, we need to embrace our own differences so that we can show that unity to the world and show God's love through what is a strength, and that's the differences that are available to the church, and how we can focus on that one goal of glorifying God through the gospel. And again, I think foster care and those at-risk families are a great opportunity that the church has been missing for too long. So what is the role of interpersonal communication in all of this? Well, to really accomplish my goal, what we need to be able to do is to present foster care and at-risk families and adoptive families and foster families and really approach it from a holistic sense and really articulate what the needs are of all those various different parts so that churches can see where they fit in and what they can do in their community. Now, at the same time, churches need to be challenged to take up that charge and to get their hands and feet dirty. You know, Jesus is a great example of that. He came down from the trappings of heaven and met us in our needs, our sinful needs right here on earth. As a church, we need to leave our pews. And we need to go seek out the lost and the hurting that are here in the shadows of our steeple and meet their needs. Because only then are they going to see the love of Christ, and we're going to be able to glorify our God in the right way. Churches also need to see the practical side of that. You know, what they can do, how they can help, and that they can do it. And they also need to understand what the spiritual side is, why they need to be able to do that. Why is it important in the kingdom aspect? And of course, they need support and resources to explore what their role is in their community around this issue. So in terms of background and behavioral blend, what makes me think that this is my call? What makes me particular for this message? Well, I've been exposed, I think, to just many different subsets of culture. And I think that's a real strength. I can relate to a lot of different people. I grew up in a military family. I'm German, Polish, Filipino, and Tahitian. So I've seen and I've felt what it's like to be multicultural, both as a child and as an adult in this nation of ours. So I know what it's like to grow up in that and to relate in those different kinds of culture. I've been exposed to the theater arts world. I've been exposed to the athletic and sporting environment where, you know, I've seen million-dollar athletes, agents. Not that any of them would really remember me right now, but I've seen and I've interacted with those kinds of people. In retail, I've worked with tons of different kinds of people, from doctors to educators to lawyers as customers, and I've also related to employees that are maybe even just teenagers in their first job. So I've had to relate and lead and cast a vision on a lot of different levels. Personally, I grew up in a Catholic home, and I converted to Protestantism. So I know what it's like to be involved in faith, but then to feel like you're missing something in your relationship with Christ, or your relationship with the Creator, right? So I can relate to that searching, that emptiness. And hopefully I think that's something that will come across in a lot of my interpersonal context, as well as my broader audience-based speaking engagements that I hope to be able to work on. So what are some of the communication barriers that I'm going to have to overcome to really meet this overarching goal? Well, there are some societal hurdles. I think credentials are a big one. In Bridges Not Walls, Stewart talks about the currency of expertise. And frankly, I really don't have that if you're looking for expertise as a criteria. And there's this negative perception on foster care that I think I'm going to have to break through. Burley Allen talks about biased listening, and I think that's a hurdle that we have to talk about when we talk about foster care. There's just so many bad stigmas that are involved with the children that are in foster care and how broken they really are, and the families that they come from, and how negative that perception really is. And then also, when we talk about foster parents, all we ever seem to hear in the news is the bad stuff. Foster parents who are failing, ones that are only in it for the money. And then you talk about government and their overreaching into families and things like that. There's just a real negative perception that we're going to have to break through if we really want to make a difference in this field, this industry, this issue, right? So when it comes to that negative perception, we've really got to be able to articulate that and let people see that there's good there. And from a church perspective, how we can break through that and we can unify around these foster families and these at-risk families. So resources and strategies, what kind of strengths do I have to be able to overcome some of those hurdles? Well, I think my communication skills are really well set up for it. I can really lead and engage people and relate. I think that's a big thing that we need to be able to do. I can listen to people, whether it's, again, those different kinds of people I'm talking about, whether it's different cultures or different age groups and different kinds of churches. I can kind of tap in and relate on a lot of different levels. My ability to communicate, it's genuine, it's passionate, and I hope it's engaging, whether that's on an interpersonal level or in an audience-based kind of capacity. And I think I'm open and honest about my trials and my tribulations and those difficult moments when it comes to being a father, being a Christian. And hopefully that honesty, that humbleness will hopefully come through and help me overcome some of these expertise hurdles that I'm going to have. So from an action step perspective, what do I need to do to really set myself up for long-term success and making a difference? Well, I need to develop my expertise. Completing this master's program at LUO is part of that. And I'm also partnering with a current expert in the field. His name is Dr. John DeGarmo. He's an author and he's a speaker on foster care. And I'm actually really excited about serving on the board of Hope Ranch. It's a nonprofit organization in my area. I'll be serving as the vice president on the board that's aimed at supporting foster families. I plan on launching a website that'll help focus and narrow the message, and then also provide a point of contact for folks as well. Now, all of that's going to be worked through as I kind of gain speaking engagements at churches and conventions and hopefully build that reputation. Now, from a context and need standpoint, we need to understand, and what I want to make sure gets through in the message is that it's our duty to be involved in needy as Christians in this world. And foster care, whether it's your call or not, there's somebody out there who needs you. Now, for me, I think foster care is kind of what God's placed on our heart. And knowing that children, right, who've been involved in foster care are more likely to be incarcerated at some point in their lives, that should be troubling to us, not just as a society, but as a church. We need to be the ones that are helping break this chain. And how we're going to do that, we're going to provide some different logistical support and that we can talk about and really give tools to churches to be able to do. Now, there's an example of a parachurch nonprofit organization called Replanted that I'm really excited to kind of share with you. And what they're doing is providing emotional support for families, both foster and for biological families. They do group sessions and parents sign out. But what I'm really excited about is the parent training they do for biological families. They also do concrete support where they have a resource closet, and they do meals ministry that's out there. So there's a lot of great ways that churches can get involved if they really want to. And that's what we really need to tap into, and that's how we need to activate the church. And that's what I hope to do with this degree, and hopefully Liberty is a great part of it. Thanks for taking the time to listen, and God bless.